Hello, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for Flarkin' Harkin, and here we go. Alright, today I was going to... I fucked up already, everyone. I don't have the fucking mic plugged in. This is a major pain in the fucking ass. Alright. Here we go. Hopefully you can hear me. I hope to God you can hear me. Today I was going to read an article on some of the endless worlds information that I had spoken about previously. This might put it a little clearer so I don't sound like a rambling buffoon. So there's an odd idea going around in quantum physics right now that's gaining a lot of traction. And there may be endless worlds with countless versions of you, but probably not exactly how you think. Even if you never meet those other yous, it's calculated that they're out there. They're out there somewhere. And according to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, there may be multiple copies of you and I living in multiple worlds. So today, some of the top physicists are working on such ideas because they're plausible. They fit nicely into the math and into our current understanding of the universe. The idea that there are multiple versions of you existing across worlds even too numerous to count is a long way from our intuitive experience. It really requires you to be way outside the box, like not even remotely close to the box, to start conceptualizing some of these ideas. Because it sure looks like each of us is just one person living just one life, waking up every day in the same bed, and we're living this one and only bizarro world that we're in right now. Which, take note, I'm going to talk about this many worlds interpretation and where we're currently standing in the world today later on. But according to increasingly popular analysis of quantum mechanics known as the many worlds interpretation, every fundamental event has multiple possible outcomes, whether it's a particle of light hitting a planet or a molecule in a flame bouncing off your teapot as you heat some tea to try to go to bed. All of these events split the world into alternate realities, and these realities actually play out distinctly from each other. They coexist, kind of. So multiple splits, multiple worlds. And even to a seasoned scientist, it's odd to think that the universe splits apart depending on whether a molecule bounces this way or that way. And it's even odder to realize that a similar splitting could occur for every interaction taking place in the quantum world. And it just goes on from there. You get deeper and deeper and deeper. But things get downright bizarre when you realize that all those subatomic splits would also apply to bigger things, including ourselves. So maybe there's a world where there's a version of you split off that bought a winning lotto ticket and you're fucking killing it out somewhere on an island. But there's also a world where on that one vacation you tripped at the top of the cliff at that viewpoint and fucking took a head dive and kicked the bucket. So it's still mind-boggling. It's absolutely possible that there are multiple worlds where you make different decisions. This distinct concept actually obeys the current laws of physics that we have all kind of come to a common understanding today. Just how there's many versions of you. We tend to ask, well, how many? Are there infinite? Are there 500? Are there 1,000? Well, we don't know. We don't know if it's finite or infinite, but it's certainly a humongous number if every molecule has an opportunity to create a distinct world. And that's at the molecular level. Keep bouncing that up, getting larger in the macro scale, and the numbers get Huge. Absolutely huge. This many worlds sounds like it's plucked straight out of like a science fiction novel or a movie or something. Novel. Nobody reads books anymore. A movie or something like that, like Avengers or something ridiculous. But the many worlds interpretation attracts renowned physicists. It isn't just freakazoids doing podcasts in their shed in the backyard talking about it. These are legitimate people at Oxford University, like Roger Penrose. There's Sean Carroll up at UCSB, that's pretty huge. There's a quote from Sean Carroll here where he's kind of discussing this many worlds theory, and he states the concept of a single person extending from birth to death was always just a useful approximation, he writes in his new book. And to him, the many worlds interpretation merely extends that idea. The world duplicates, and everything within the world goes along with it. So how did we get here? The mind-bending saga of the many worlds interpretation began in about 1926 when Erwin Schrödinger, he's an Austrian physicist, mathematically demonstrated that the subatomic world is fundamentally blurry by nature, meaning it's kind of indeterminate until certain events or consequences cause a collapse in the deterministic waveform, and that is our observable reality that we see today. In the familiar human scale reality, an object exists in one well-defined place. You put your fucking pen down on the desk, your pen is going to be on the desk when you go to pick it up. But you place your phone on your bedside table, and that's where it's going to be when you get up, whether you're looking for it or not. But in the quantum realm, objects exist in a smudge of probability, only snapping into focus when we observe them. When we actually take a look and make that measurement of observation is when that particular item snaps into our reality as we see it. Otherwise, it is existing in the other realities as well, embarking on different pathways. Even Einstein struggled with this notion, and what happened to all the other possible locations where the object could have been, and all the other different outcomes that could have ensued. Why should an object's behavior depend on whether or not somebody was looking at it? That seems kind of trippy. We like to think of when you put something down, that object is now completely independent of me looking at it. But in fact, the outright observation of something is deterministic in that object's location in space and time. In 1957, another scientist named Hugh Everett III came up with a radical explanation. He proposed that all possible outcomes really do occur, but that only a single version plays out in the world we inhabit, or aka our reality. All the other possibilities split off from us, each giving rise to its own separate world. Nothing ever goes to waste in this view, since everything that can happen does happen in some world. And for decades, colleagues of him mostly brushed aside his explanation, treating it like he was a fucking whack job. But nobody has really found any flaws in Schrodinger's equation, nor can they explain these implications that seem to be correct if what we hold true today is correct. And as a result, many contemporary physicists, including those at MIT and Oxford, have come to agree with Sean Carroll that many worlds interpretation is the only coherent way to understand quantum mechanics. We don't have another solution yet. This is the best one. This isn't some whack job solution. This is it. But the many worlds interpretation raises all kinds of puzzling questions about multiple versions of reality and about multiple versions of you that exist within them. If new universes are constantly popping into existence, isn't something being created from nothing? Doesn't that violate some of the basic principles of physics, conservation of energy? You can't just make shit out of nothing. But no, that's not the case. It only looks like you're creating extra copies of the universe. But it's better to think of it as a big, thick universe getting micro-sliced. So new things aren't being made. They are all still abiding by our current understanding of physics. It is just conceptually a fucking minefield to wrap your head around. So how can we experience only one particular reality and not any of these others? What which reality do you find yourself in? You're experiencing, are the other yous and the other realities experiencing their own reality that's playing out differently or not? But it's like asking why you live now instead of some other time. Everyone in every world thinks that they're in that world, Could you cross over and visit one of the other realities and compare notes with your fucking counterpart, your doppelganger or whatever they say? No, the worlds don't interact. They don't influence each other in any way. And if you mathematically, if you try and cross over from one world to the other, you'd be violating the speed of light is basically the law that gets violated in that particular conundrum. So it's something that you can't do. There's a criticism of the many worlds interpretation, and that while it offers like a fun and colorful way to think about the world, it doesn't really deliver any new insights into how nature works. It's some people say it's contentless, baseless. It's not baseless. It has a lot of base, but it doesn't bring a lot to the table. We haven't had an individual with enough creativity and understanding of physics to bring some novel concepts that are going to kind of really shift the paradigm in a whole new direction. So, the universe changes when you look at it, not because you're creating new worlds, but simply because observation requires interacting with your surroundings. The many worlds, some people do say it's flawed because it's kind of based on an oversimplistic version of quantum mechanics that don't really account for gravity, because when gravity is involved, the rules change significantly. Gravity helps anchor our reality in blurry events at the quantum scale, and we'll have only one allowable outcome. That's kind of the contrary to the many worlds. A potentially decisive experiment is now being carried out at UC Santa Barbara and Leiden University in the Netherlands that's designed to directly observe how an object transforms from many possible locations to a single fixed reality in the waveform collapse. So the people are working on things to the contrary of the many worlds, but they're not really getting too far. That's not to say it's absolutely true. I don't believe in it 110%, but I believe in the possibility, that's for sure. It provides, the many worlds theory provides a crisp and clear and simple and pure way for us to kind of fold it into our current understanding of modern physics and our existence in the universe. So that's about it. Hopefully you find a little bit of that interesting, and wop bop da bop ba da bam boom. Let's see if we can close this little operation down. Oh no, wait.